Hi Tribe, I'm going to introduce you to someone very special if you've never met Anthea, which I'm not really sure how that would be possible. Anthea is the program director at Love Out Loud and the GM. Say hi.
Hi guys.
And we were just having, so actually for those of you that haven't jumped on a live over the past few days.
Hey Mel.
Hey Mel. I've had the whole team centrally located here on the Gold Coast. We're making some pretty massive decisions for the movement over the next few months. And it's been really amazing to have the team working so functionally together. We've been doing a lot of strategy. We've accomplished so much in the past few days.
Hey Kyla.
We really feel that in the turning tides of everything that's happening, this is the time for Love Out Loud to really step up and be the leader and the voice that the world's needing right now.
Yeah.
And we've had a bit of a morning routine as a tribe, and as per, Anthea and I always have very deep, dynamic, psychological conversations, which this morning was blowing my fucking mind, as per the title of this live, really discovering and exploring. Anthea helped me realize something very profound yesterday. And to give context, because we're about to move into a headquarters and because the team's going to be together more often, I want to start to profile and showcase the talent and the intelligence on my team, inclusive of deep psychological conversations with Anthea. If someone is watching this who is part of the Love Out Louders group, please share it into the Love Out Louders group. Share this on your page. Get amongst it. So the realization that Anthea assisted me in having yesterday or the day before was something very profound and something that I've struggled in the past to bring voice to. I guess now that I'm speaking about it and recognizing it out loud, because of the shame that I was conditioned to feel during recovery from anorexia, it created a shame around my deep need for control and how I've sort of villainized control. But it's not that I ever dismissed it. Control is still a huge part of my life. The ability to be in control of myself, to regulate, to build a team, to bring a massively conceptual vision down into the material world. All of this requires a deep sense of control and an ability to control. But what I've recognized over the past few days in having conversations with you is how there's still been parts of me that are in shame for how much control I really need, and aspects of the way I've shown up in the world, which have actually been acts of self-neglect, not actually claiming what I know I need in moments because I've had the idea that it was wrong for me to need that control. And by you actually just turning that around in such a beautifully simple way and essentially saying, well, actually it's okay for you to need that control, and you don't actually need to change, and what would your life look like if you just stepped fully into that and radically, in your words, radically claimed that and radically claimed what you need in moments. And honestly, in the past 3 days, my life has already dramatically shifted just through that realization. So I want to talk about this. I want to talk about mainstream therapies. I want to talk about the mental health industry, the way that it teaches us to change ourselves. In the words of my psychologist when I was 16, normalize myself, which was never a possibility for someone like me. I was never going to be normal. And also development, the development space, which is often giving people, the guide on how to be, and not actually facilitating people into more connection with how they naturally are. And to have that conversation and to uncover, in my own leadership, this is like a therapy session that we're doing on Facebook. Do you guys like this concept?
Let's do this.
Andy's about to get
Love
300
out
new
loud.
clients.
Therapy. Let's do this.
Let's do this. I'm happy to be therapized in front of my 10,000 Facebook audience. I think it's great. This is what I wanted. This is how
it should be. This is what we call co-regulation.
Yay.
And, now that we're in a new era, guys, you have to acknowledge that whatever was, no longer is. No longer is.
It's falling away.
We are in a new mind space right now, and this is the time where we get to actually dictate the collective consciousness.
And own ourselves.
And, with this, what is it called? social distancing, right? Which goes against our very nature. Like, from a very primitive level, social distancing is not how we even become healthy as a community, or how we survive. And so naturally there is going to be subconscious issues that are going to be occurring at this time,
which is powerful opportunity for your own
absolutely. So these conversations, like you're saying, Nick, and you're like so on point and so timely for us to continue what we need as humans, which is co-regulation, i.e. our nervous systems are in sync to feel safe within each other, within community, and therefore heal as a community, or stay in balance and in homeostasis as a community. These conversations is what is going to drive a new mindset, a new way to embody this era that we're now in.
Maybe we should open up this series. So I volunteer in sacrifice to be therapized, and then you guys can volunteer one of yourselves to be therapized by Anthea live, and we do a deep dive into the truth of human psychology. I think this is very powerful.
And
can you also just explain to the community what your background is?
All sorts. I've always been in the space of being in service. So I started off from I'm a holistic health practitioner in the whole sense of the word.
It's a modest way of psychotherapist.
So I'm a somatic psychotherapist. So I analyze both the body and the mind. I'm also a functional nutritional therapist, which is actually what led. I had studied psychology decades ago, which I never actually used until I went into functional medicine and functional nutritional medicine, and understood about how the body works, and that really changed my world.
And she can read you in a fucking microsecond, so just watch out.
And I'm also a tantric practitioner. So, and with that, really, it really honed my, I guess, what people would understand intellectually as shamanic capacities. So the way I see the human experience is in conservatively 7 layers. And so when we're speaking and when we're interfacing and interacting, I'm looking at all the layers of your experience. And this is why Nick and I guess,
in love.
Yeah, basically. And ultimately we just want to invite you into this conversation.
Because I don't want to speak on behalf of you, but for me, a lot of my contemplations around why people are the way that they are, which has been my biggest fascination, it's driven everything that I do. It's not often a conversation I can have out loud to the depth that Anthea and I have it. So, bringing you into that is, and in all areas of the movement, actually, in all areas of my team, this is what I'm very committed to, especially because I'm going to be centrally located, and I'm going to have a lot more time to create that for you guys, and all of us will as a movement. If you're not already in our group, jump in the group. Love Out Louders, it's a Facebook community. I want to start having more of these conversations because it's hugely beneficial. I was saying on my live yesterday that the true marker of development, and if someone is a good leader and a good teacher and actually helping people improve the quality of their life, the marker of this is their ability to get you to self-reflect. Self-reflection is it. And the way I've seen humans be most willing to self-reflect is when another person is showing them insights into who they
being a mirror,
are,
right?
Being a mirror.
And that's what I say to anybody, any client. It's like, I'm just a mirror. Everything that you need is in you. I've just managed, and I've just had the time, I've just reached a certain level in my experience and my awareness that I can be an honest and true reflection that you need to see in this moment. And I think that's love out loud.
I'm excited for this. It is love out loud.
And that's love out loud in its entirety.
Find your love. Express it fully to the world, and you will be serving humanity in a way that you will never comprehend. So this is my request before we jump into this. If you have someone in your life that needs to listen to this therapy session, it could be someone that's suffering from an eating disorder, it could be someone that identifies as a perfectionist, who has a deep need for control in their life, someone who is in a constant state of conflict between what it is they're wanting and what it is they think they should be doing or think they deserve, if there's a disparity in them, if there's someone in your life that struggles to have truly healthy self-esteem, these are all the things that we're going to be talking about now. And I invite you to tag those people in this post because what we're about to do, I think, is quite revolutionary. I know if I was able to see into a session of someone that I could relate to, which I couldn't find in the world. I couldn't find anyone that I related to. The degree in which it would have supported me would have been astronomical. So I invite you guys to share it onto your pages, to tag the people as we have this conversation.
And this is the new way. Like, this is how it's going. Every person I've spoken to since, things have changed, the energy, everybody knows this energy now. Everybody knows that everything's changed. Nothing is as it ever was. And you get to decide now, how are we going to move forward? How are we going to move
How can we
forward?
become self-aware enough to actually claim the opportunity? How do we claim? Because ultimately the universe is only ever expanding. So as things look like they're falling down, there's an amazing opportunity to leverage upward. And that's not to dismiss the suffering and the realities of what's happening in the world, but I want to speak to the people on my Facebook that obviously resonate with my leadership and my choosing for a reason. And I want to speak to you, and I want to give you a point of connection and communication and relatability and strength and courage during this time where actually there's huge opportunity for us to thrive and recreate the way that we're living and existing as human beings.
And everybody that is a Love Out Louder or that is within the field of Love Out Loud is already feeling that. You might not have the language or the articulation to be able to say, like, what is this? What am I feeling? What am I experiencing? Which might even make you feel like going into isolation because you don't know what it is. See this as your opportunity to actually to connect back in, to become part of, the Love Out Loud nervous system.
This is a movement.
Right? We're here for you to mobilize in your home, in your families, in your communities.
It's so perfect.
This conversation, like right now.
Yes. In lifetime.
This
in
moment.
lifetime.
All
right, let's do it.
Right, what are we doing?
We're gonna do a therapy session. We're gonna go back.
Nick loves to put me on the spot.
I stopped out midway through our therapy session just before, and I was like, no, we need to
we
share
do
this
now.
I'm having so many revelations. We need to share this with the world. So the premise of where we were at, so that we can go back into that moment, was essentially me recognizing that I never actually recovered from anorexia. Because anorexia was never about restricting my food. Anorexia was about a psychological predisposition and a tendency to need a certain amount of control in my life because of the precision in which I hold myself to. And when I think about my life and how my life has evolved over the past decade, and it's been a decade now since I made the decision to recover from anorexia, and as you can see, on a physical, medical level, I have been fully recovered from anorexia for many years. But what I've never recovered from, and really what I feel I would never want to recover from, is the parts of my personality that make me so unique and so able to focus on a single goal against all odds, against all probability. Like, I look back during my experiences of anorexia, and everything about my physicality, about my emotional state was propelling me to do something that I was able to resist, which required a lot of mental strength. To not eat when everything about our wiring as a human being is like, eat. And there was something in me that was like, this point of focus, which I don't condone, by the way. I just want to preface this. I do not in any way believe that was a healthy point of focus, but I do feel that there is a wisdom and a genius in me that allowed me to go to such an extreme, which is the same personality traits that is making it possible to bring love to 350 million people worldwide and to change the world in a critical mass point. It is exactly the same. So by me uninvesting in the way that I was being therapized, which is about normalizing myself, changing my natural predispositions, essentially trying to change my personality, and realizing when I was young, actually that's not a possibility for me. I need to work in partnership with my personality, and I need to decide where I want to put this focus. And the key for me was I started to become healthier, more functional, more stable when I started to work towards a goal that was bigger than myself. Because anorexia, the true illness in all of that, the true illness was self-orientation, not my personality, not my need for control. That was not the villain. And this is what I've realized over the past few days. The truth is that when I set a vision and a goal that was beyond myself, these personality traits were actually the thing that were making that vision possible.
Absolutely. So, like Nick, what you're speaking to is we have an inherent predisposition to supersede our ego, essentially. Depending on your frame of reference, I very much believe that we were made in the likeness of God, and therefore we are therefore gods. And if we find ourselves in a space of what would be considered a traumatic response to, let's say, life, and so now, in a way to control that traumatic response to life, we decide that we're going to use our physical being to control
or what is within our direct
control and means. It's a completely primitive response to being safe in our environment. And how Nick transcended her natural need to be safe in a functional and healthy way, i.e. not self-destructing, which is what the nature is set up to self-destruct. If it's no longer actually serving its purpose, it goes back to homeostasis.
Just like nature, just like what's happening on the planet right now.
That's exactly what we do in our physical, emotional, spiritual state. We reset, we go back to balance, we discharge our energy. So what Nick did in the physical reality is transcend her need to control of the physical by having
a greater purpose.
By having a greater purpose. And how that looks in terms of emotional awareness, as Nick stated earlier, was the recognition that if she was going to die, if she was going to self-destruct and get herself back to reset point, was anorexia going to be the reason?
Enough. And
was
this
it going to be enough of a reason?
Throughout human history, this is speaking to something very profound that a lot of people miss until much later in their life. But throughout history, through every other civilization other than the West, facing your mortality was a fundamental rite of passage to know how to become a healthy adult. Because what it did back in the day when a rite of passage or initiation process confronted an adolescent with their mortality, it gave them the perspective of, oh my God, I'm not the center of the universe.
So when you face your mortality, it allows you to transcend your ego, and what Nick speaks to in terms of being in partnership with your personality, which is essentially your personality is your ego mind. It's you now, when you face your mortality, you transcend the ego mind and become its ally. When we're in a state of growth and development, pre-transcend, facing our mortality. And for some, like for Nick, it happened very early on in life because she was faced with an illness like anorexia. And I don't like to use the word illness, to be honest. I'm taking that out. She was faced with an experience that was anorexia. And so her mortality came to her early in life. And some people, and you will see those people that have had really traumatic experiences and were faced with, and you're like, wow, they're 25 and they've achieved all this thing because they transcended the ego and their ego became their ally.
And so often, just on this point, the amount of people that have told me in my journey of entrepreneurship, you're so lucky you knew your purpose young. What they fail to recognize is the depth in which I had to travel to the center point of who I am and actually ask myself the question at 16, 17 years old, am I willing to die for my ego construct, for my identity?
And the thing is, in that experience, it wasn't even a question for you because what you were experiencing was your death in that moment.
Hugely.
The minute you actually asked the question, the death.
Which was the rite of passage intention. When elders sent...
Quest.
The quest. When elders sent their teenagers who were about to become adults into these situations, they didn't want them to die. They wanted to question whether or not it was worthwhile them giving their life to this thing, or if they were going to step up, transcend the limitation. Because when you're confronted with your death, you have two choices: to die or to transcend the limitations in your own personality and ego that have put you in a situation which has put you at fate, put you at the face of death. So the only way to survive, and this is evolution, is when you decide, you make a decision, which we all have the ability to do in every single moment. I will become bigger than these limitations. I will evolve beyond this, and it allows you to have a transpersonal experience.
Yeah, absolutely.
And this is where your infinite potentiality exists as a human being.
And this is the energy we're in now.
Right now.
The infinite potentiality is right now. Everybody is facing their death in this moment. Literally and figuratively speaking, the balance has tipped, and it's tipped into what is feminine energy, and that energy transmutes and births into new ways of looking, being, feeling, experiencing. We have to hold on to that. We have to align with that. We have to co-regulate with that potential energy. And Marina, you're asking about ego death. This is the moment now where the ego death in this moment, and again, balance. The ego death in this moment is, do I self-isolate, do the social distancing, hope, and like when everything boils over and the government says we can go outside again, great,
pretend
everything
like
goes back to normal and goes, or do we be like, holy fuck, my liberty has just been taken away from me, beyond my control.
So what is my true sovereignty?
So
what is my truth? Because ultimately, freedom, sovereignty, love cannot be taken from you.
It is you. It's who you are. So
there are no borders of love.
Yeah, absolutely. So the ego death in this moment is when self-isolation ceases, when the world goes back to normality. Do we even want to go back to normality? Do we want to go back to what was? And this is the ego death in like, do I want to be what I was previous to this moment where I realized
which I promise will
that
not serve
life
you.
Is not what I thought it was. So much, like yesterday was the first time that I took quite a few client calls, and realizing the bubble, and I don't even want to call it bubble because I feel like
what were you taking client calls for?
All sorts of things. I was taking client calls for retreat. I was taking client calls for facilitated training.
If you want to get some client calls happening, you can drop that below.
Client calls.
Come and join us at our next event.
Master Heart, and guys, I'm seeing it all over my social media that things are going down, but things are increasing for Love Out Loud.
Why is that?
Because we're holding the vibration of potential energy, and everything is possible in that. Nothing in terms of, for me, for example, and this is not to, and I just want to say this with deep love and compassion, but I just want people to understand that we can connect into a collective mindset. And what was before was in a state of fear, and this is why we've reached our mortality.
The fear was already there. This virus has just triggered the fear that was already there.
That needed to be shown for it to be reset.
It's sort of like when you build yourself up and you don't express yourself.
Yeah.
And then you have an absolute outburst, right?
Yeah.
What is happening on the planet is this outburst.
And this is what, as above, so below, as within, so without. We are not different to Mother Nature. We are of her. We are from her. We are co-creators with her. We are each a cell on this earth, and we each work and live together, whether we like it or not. And if we are in harmony, the world, it is heaven on earth. We can do that. And being part of Love Out Loud really is an expression of that.
It's what we're creating.
It is. And this is why we are still, despite the fact that we've had to change our international
whole world tour is cancelled.
Yeah, completely cancelled, and yet everybody is still on board.
Not only is everyone on board, we're actually in more proximity to one another. We're working more effectively and cohesively than we ever have. And on a personal level, I have experienced the most prosperity and abundance I have ever experienced my whole life.
Yeah.
That is not a coincidence.
Not at all.
And the shift, it was a quantum leap. It wasn't a gradual thing. It was literally because in the face of that prospective death, oh my God, I've been working 12 months to organize this epic world tour. It's just literally been shut down. What am I going to choose?
Yeah.
Am I going to choose the choice that I made in the face of my mortality of anorexia, which was actually, no, I'm going to work in partnership with what is being presented to me right now. I'm going to work in partnership with this prospective death, and I'm going to elevate myself. I'm not going to make it about me and my emotions around the situation. I'm going to have a single point of focus. As a leader, I have a directive, which is to hit a point of critical mass. Is there only one way of achieving that? Fuck no. It is all working for me. If you have a clear point of focus and an intention, the universe is always doing everything to conspire for that success. But what it needs from you, and someone asked before about a healthy ego, what it needs from you is conscious cooperation. You need to cooperate and trust that the universe is working to conspire for you.
And that is the definition of co-creation. When you're allying, when your highest self that's saying, actually, this is where we're going, that's beyond your intellectual understand that the mind is primitive and it's in its infancy, and no one can actually tell you from a really transcendent space how the mind works. We can only tell you from a cognitive based perspective that's built on a code that is language.
The mind
that
is
limited.
literally your reality.
So
reality is perceptive.
Right?
It's perceptive. And what is controlling your perception? Your mind. Not your cognition, both conscious and subconscious. And this, when we start to truly understand this as a species, you don't even understand the possibility that becomes available to us personally and collectively. When you truly understand that everything, your whole experience of reality is within the control of your perception. Monks have been talking about this for centuries. We literally, in a moment, can actualize the vision of Love Out Loud for one, which is enough people at the same time making the same choice. Enough people at the same time making the same choice. 350 million, or 4% of the global population, at the one time, in a single present moment, choosing love. Guess what? That creates such a vibrational momentum that will permanently shift the trajectory of humanity from fear into love. This is a single choice. When people say you're batshit crazy for thinking this is possible, you're batshit crazy for thinking it's not possible. This is so achievable. All we need is enough people to awaken to the very fact that it is a choice. The way you're experiencing reality is a choice.
And it's about aligning yourself to, if you believe in love, and everybody believes in love, this is where we're at now, where you have to make that choice. You have to now decide, if I've been asleep for the last 10 years, this is my wake-up call, and I get to decide.
And just on that, lots of people think that it's taken those 10 years to wake up. No, it takes a single moment. I'm going to give you a metaphor. When you're asleep at nighttime and you wake up, is it fair to say in a moment you go from being asleep to being awake? It is literally a single moment. You move from delta into alpha and you are awake. It is literally as simple as turning on the light switch. Right now you have been fumbling around in a dark room, and what we are communicating to you, both to your conscious mind and your subconscious, I saw this when I gave my keynote at Freedom Fest, my words were penetrating people's subconscious to the point that they were coming up to me and just crying in my presence, because I gave them enough light through the torch of my own awareness that they could turn on the light for themselves. And this is, I say this all the time, leaders create leaders. If there are leaders that you have been following that put you in the position of a follower, stop following them. Don't even follow leaders. Connect with leaders that are helping you turn on your own light switch. And this is, I have a zero tolerance in Love Out Loud and our leadership team for anyone that has a mindset of, I just want to build followers. We have a strong culture, which I'm extremely devoted and committed to leading, which says that we create leaders, because this movement requires 350 million leaders to hit that point of critical mass.
And leaders are the messengers. Leaders are pulling people in. Leaders are saying, you can do better, you want better, I see you, I hear you. Here's the damn light switch. No, I'm not turning it on for you, because it's your free will and choice.
It's just there. Just turn it on for yourself.
And you have to make that choice. Energetically, you have to make that choice. If someone's coming to you saying, I've got all the answers, let me do that report for you, you are not connected, you are not integrated, you are not co-regulating,
and you're going to need them.
Yeah,
you're going to
exactly.
need them.
You
and
are disempowered in that space.
There's a lot of leaders who are actually just celebrities on the planet that the way that they are funding their lifestyle, the way that they are having the quality of life they have, is because they've convinced you on some level that you need them to keep your lights on. And what I want to look at on a global level is how can we build economic frameworks, how can we build bureaucratic systems, how can we build education systems, how can we build businesses, how can we build families and relationships that actually mean we become more prosperous, more abundant as each person in that system, in that bureaucracy, turn their own light switch on, hold their own power, that all of us actually start to elevate together. And there's an equilibrium that needs to happen, because right now the reality is there's still 85% of the world that is living on less than $1 a day, and there's huge amounts of wealth, and we need to start to close this gap. And it might look like this for a period of time, but then it can look like this. And the growth that we can experience through equalizing the harmony is infinite. Is literally infinite. But we need to come together, which is the vision of Love Out Loud. We first need to unify. We need to unify. We need to come together as a species so that we can then travel upwards together. We can create heaven on earth together. This disparity that we're experiencing makes it impossible for anyone to experience true abundance, even the elite. They're not experiencing true abundance because they're not connected to the truth of their existence. So it doesn't matter how much money they have, how many dollars in the bank, what car they drive. If you're not connected to the truth, the divinity inside of you, and that truth is I am in an interdependent reality with every other person, every other being, with the earth, with the galaxies, with the universe. Until you realize that, you cannot experience true abundance, because true abundance is in fact limitless. And this is the only way that we can connect to the limitlessness of our nature.
Yep. Absolutely. And for people that are out there that are sort of thinking like, so how do I exemplify this in this moment right now? Sharing how you love, what you love, how you want the world to be better, how you want the world to be more in love, and having these kind of conversations is a start. And the reason why conversations are powerful is because our words create our world. Because it's our mindset that dictates our behaviors and our reality, it's our language that is actually the precursor to our mindset. So when we're having highly elevated, highly positive conversations, and that doesn't mean we can't speak about, destruction and sadness.
But it's knowing the truth
the
in that. It's knowing the truth.
Yeah, it's knowing the truth
I said this just before on my quick live this morning. When you have a core belief system that is all working for you, that the universe is naturally loving, it changes the tone of even the darkest conversations. Because you're looking for the light, just like the yin and yang symbol. You're looking for that speck of light in amongst the darkness.
And just to give example to that, yesterday, Sarah, Jade, and I were having a really great high-vibing conversation, and Sarah came in and she was like, hey guys, I need to lower the tone a little bit. I've got something to ask you guys. And we were like, yep, sure. And we discussed what we needed to discuss, which was at a different vibration, but the energy in us had not changed one single bit. We acknowledged the conversation that we were having and the energy that we were holding in that conversation, but our collective energy, the collective field and the space that we held remained at the same vibration that was before we had that conversation. And this is what integration is, because so often we're swayed. Go on, sweetie.
The natural support system in that, because this speaks to something really important in terms of our ecosystem as a species. So often we feel so deprived that when we're presented with the things that we feel deprived of, we're grasping as if we've been held underwater and we finally have oxygen. This is not the sign of a healthy society. The sign of a healthy society is most of us know, or all of us know, what regulation means for us. So when there's someone in our community that's falling down, it's actually almost no weight for all of us to just reach in a little bit and just help them back up.
Yeah, absolutely.
Help them back up just a little bit.
And because we have previously been in a fear-based mentality, what that looks like is if there's one person that looks like they're weak, they're immediately ousted out of the community because everybody's so scared of being...
Spiritual elitism.
Yeah. And
High Vibes Club only.
Yeah, and that is completely the antithesis of community and connectedness. One of my favorite quotes is, when children look like they deserve your love the least, that's when you should love them the most. But that's about humans as well. We don't oust people out of the community. We love them harder, and we remind them of what a divine soul they are. And the Love Out Loud energy just simply is that. Just if you haven't come to a circle yet, just please come to a circle. Like if you've been to circle, like tell people that this is uncanny to how we're experiencing reality and how we're experiencing the world.
This is a really, really great comment. So when you talk about closing the gap between wealth and poverty, you're not actually talking about income disparity, but inner resourcefulness.
Yeah.
Yes.
Exactly.
100%.
And that
How
is
are you showing
about self-awareness.
And the thing is, the people who are in elitism, right, or what we would judge as that, if you were to actually communicate with them, and I know because I've worked with high performers and high level CEOs, I can't tell you the amount of them that are suicidal. I can't tell you the amount of them that are deeply unhappy because it's not the truth of our existence to be numb to this disparity that we're experiencing on the planet. It's not human. We're disconnected from ourselves and our nature if we are in a position of privilege because other people are in a position of suffering.
Yeah. And in terms of like high performance, when the GFC hit, the amount of suicides that happened because so many people lost money, but actually what I believed at the time happened there, that people felt such a deep shame because of the level of responsibility that they just absolved and handed over, that again the universe had to reset that balance. And
we understand how some of you might hear this, and you might, someone commented on my post before, like, basically how dare you have this perspective during a time like when there's so much suffering and pain. But the thing is, unless we have this conversation, this suffering will continue. And all of my team are deeply empathic. We feel suffering to the deepest part of our core. And the reason we have so much passion and so much commitment to changing the conversation is because we want to eliminate this suffering.
And also I'll speak for myself here in that I can speak on these matters because I have experienced them firsthand as a practitioner, but also personally. So I know the reality. I'm not speaking from...
It's not ignorance.
Yeah, I'm not coming from a space of ignorance and I just have an opinion. This is the reality. We need to be able to openly speak on the disparities that we experience.
It's leadership. This is actually leadership.
Exactly.
Leaders have the conversations that people are too afraid to have. And you're not being a leader if you jump on board the conversation momentum that the media are capitalizing on. That is not leadership. So by us showing up and saying, hey, actually, I'm prepared to have an extremely controversial conversation. I'm going to change this narrative. I'm going to speak about the deepest truth of what's happening on the planet right now, and I'm going to bring you into that vulnerability. I'm going to risk the rejection. I'm going to risk being misunderstood. I'm going to risk being projected onto. And actually, as a leader, I'm willing to take all of that because I believe truly right now we are on a wave of a true awakening, a true evolution that we require in order to evolve in the direction we need to be evolving as a species.
And over the last sort of 18 months, I've ingratiated myself into the wider community where I very much stayed within my own little bubble. And it was very much, the love and light and high vibes. And it's really beautiful. The world needs that. But it has to be grounded in substance, okay? It has to be grounded in truth.
You need to be informed, globally informed. And then you need to also have an ability to think universally and to have perspective. Love is the ultimate perspective. It's the bird's eye view. To understand the reality, to not avoid or resist the reality of what's happening, but to use this broader perspective, this universal perspective, to come into the realities that are happening on the planet and change what is happening through the awareness.
Yeah.
I write in Love Out Loud, time is not our healer. You know how that saying that time is our healer? Time is not our healer. It's what time brings, which is perspective. Time brings, for the most part, perspective, but there is a shortcut. There is a shortcut to that perspective, and it's to be able to increase your capacity in your nervous system and your neurology to choose love and see through the lens of love in each moment is going to transcend the limitations of your perspective, which are in contraction because of fear, and it's going to give you a pathway to be able to transcend even the seemingly, impossible circumstances to overcome.
Yeah, thanks for sharing that, Mel. So true. And this is a call to anyone that considers themselves to be a leader, that considers themselves to be awake and to be conscious. You better be making a stand on every platform that you've got out right now.
Calling you.
And speak for love. And speak for love. And come on board. If you believe that we are all one, which we are, and you're speaking about co-regulation, and if you believe and understand that we're in a new energy space, you better start speaking up. Okay, you better start speaking up now, because things aren't the same. And if you're serious about who you are, now is the time.
And this
to
movement
connect.
is here to mobilize you.
Yeah.
I cannot stress it enough. Join us.
Yeah.
The amount of people that are coming together globally, even in distance, for this movement this is the wave. This is the wave.
Yeah.
This is the frequency of love, with an intention to successfully facilitate a critical mass point by the end of this year. And through enough of us making the same choice at the same time, this is the world that we're creating. Literally.
And we are serious when we say, come and join us. There is literally no agenda. And I mean that in the sincerest sense.
Other than heaven on earth.
Other than heaven on earth, come and be love, because there is nothing that can't be achieved. There is no, I don't even know how to explain it. I get really passionate about this because...
Just, if you're logging on now, you need to rewatch this whole live for the context. Share this live. I'm asking you right now, if you are on this live, share this conversation.
Yes,
This is an important conversation. Share it on your walls. Tag people in this conversation. More people need to be having this conversation. You know how the hippie movement started, and every single revolution throughout history, the civil rights movement, it was people shifting the conversation. This is the conversation that we need to be having on the planet right now.
And it's so important. Like I said, words create our world, right? And any time when we're bringing in tyranny and fascism, the first thing they do is cut people off from their ability to communicate with one another.
Yes.
We are so empowered as a humanity, but we don't focus. We don't put enough energy and focus towards the main objective. What Nick's calling out with Love Out Loud is if we just simply put our focus to love, that's the only request.
Oh.
Why
let's just think about it from this perspective. The amount of people, I've literally had people find my number off LinkedIn before and call me, abusing me for having such a radical vision of being able to engage 350 million people.
God, you're such an awful human.
Horrible person. But their main arguments, they get so trapped in their ego and their logical mind. How are you going to measure this? How are you going to measure critical mass? And I've always had a knowing that through holding the intention, there was going to be some sort of collective activation which would encapsulate the critical mass number. There are already 350 million people activated on the planet, and our job, my job as a leader of Love Out Loud, our job as a team of Love Out Loud, your job as a community member of Love Out Loud, is to now leverage all of that awareness that is on a single point of focus. Funny that it's fear when the whole frame of Love Out Loud is fear or love, and give people the different option, the different possibility, and it's through having conversations and awakening to the possibility that we're experiencing right now on the planet.
Like this morning we had our beach dance party, and I was actually shocked to see how many people didn't want to join, despite the fact that you could feel that they were curious, they wanted to, but they didn't actually join. And I'm always fascinated by that resistance of I want to but I don't, and that resistance simply is fear, and who knows why that fear might be present.
Judgment,
and
rejection, insecurity.
The amount of people, we know that there's going to be Love Out Loud conversations today because so many people videoing.
spectating.
Yeah, spectating.
And when do you do this in your
Why?
own life? I'm just
Yeah.
going to spectate.
Yeah.
I'm going to follow Nick's Facebook. I'm going to follow Anthea's Facebook. I'm
Come
going to watch
and be
them have
here.
the conversation.
Yeah.
No.
Have it.
Have it with us. And if you have ideas, if there are specific things that you want us to go into, we are literally now centrally located. We are in self-isolation. If you want us to do a webinar on something like what is a healthy ego, how to work in partnership with your identity, how to have the conversation of
Yeah.
love when everyone else is
Yeah.
projecting fear.
Yeah.
What are the things you want to learn? Comment them below. Message us. Engage in the movement. When I did the
Yeah.
call out yesterday, I've had people reach out, artists, be like, yep, I'm going to make a series of my art on Love Out Loud. I want to jump on board. This is a co-creation.
Yeah.
It doesn't look one particular way. The events that we're hosting on the Gold Coast over the next 3 to 6 months, please, if there's
there.
a part of you that
Yeah, we'll
knows,
make
that
that.
is resonating right now, just
Be there.
fuck the limitation off. Financially,
There
you will be
is none.
supported.
Yeah, just know-
there's
just
no
know
limitation
that you'll be
because
there.
the universe, this is not actually about you and you playing small and being conservative. This is about what the universe is requiring. And why wouldn't it support your decision making
Yeah.
right now? It needs us to have these conversations. It needs you to make powerful decisions. I have intentionally made myself choose very high risk things over the past week because I'm wanting to capitalize on the wave of energy that is moving us in this direction of love. So the greater the risk I'm taking on every level, emotionally, financially, in my own mindset, the more risks I'm taking spiritually on these levels, actually the greater the opportunity
For
for
everyone.
leverage and
Yeah.
growth and for all people in that.
Yeah, and this is leadership, and you know, Nick's embodying that, and our whole leadership team, we are consistently embodying that. And it's not that there aren't doubts or hesitations. It's not that. It's just we're consistently transcending. We're human, and we're telling you, actually, we're commanding you. We are asking
I'm
you.
commanding you.
You know, come and join in.
Enough is enough.
Yeah.
Fuck the
do
hesitation.
this. Yeah.
Like the reason we're so passionate about this is not about you. We need this. Like it is
Yeah.
about you. It's all about you, but it's not about you at all. Because collectively, at the end of the day, I need you to wake up for me to wake up.
Yeah.
You need me
We
to
are
wake
all
up.
mirrors of each
we are
other.
one. And the
Yeah.
more you say yes, the more you're like, actually, reality is not solid. Reality is constantly moving. So if I just make a decision in the direction that I want to be traveling, everything about the universe is going to conspire to say yes with me to that choice.
Yeah, and you know, one of the exercises you guys can do today to just test out your decision-making abilities. Wherever you have a choice, right? Yes, Mel, fuck the hesitation. When you have
Lean
a
in.
choice, lean in. Yes, I'm gonna do it. Don't
Within
even
a
think
second.
about it.
Within a
Just,
second.
Like, do you
Spend
want
one
this
day
or that?
doing that.
Yeah, just see how good it feels, because our body is not responsive to the mistake we think we're going to make or the thing we think we're going to get wrong. Our body is responsive to the fact that we did the thing we wanted to do. It's
And
not.
it keeps saying yes.
Yeah.
And it keeps
just
vibrating
moving
higher.
you forward.
Because when
That's
you
it.
back yourself, it's literally, you need to become the sort of person to yourself that is like, imagine you're in a running race and you have your biggest supporter,
Yeah,
your coach on the
biggest
sideline,
cheerleader
like,
going,
yes,
"Yes,
yes.
do it."
And
Yeah.
it gives you that energy. You can build this relationship with yourself, but you need
You
to
must,
overcome the hesitation because it is tainting. Imagine that reality is this beautiful sacred temple. Then inside that temple is everything you've ever wanted. But when you hesitate, you're getting muddy feet,
Yeah.
and you're treading it all through that temple, and you're fucking it up.
Yeah, no muddy feet in your temple. Just say yes to your life. Say yes to those moments and those feelings where you're like, fuck, I don't know, but I'm doing it. Those moments is strengthening
You're
your
alive.
nervous system.
You're alive in those
Yeah.
moments. If you don't have those moments, if you're not taking risks in your life, you are literally not alive.
Yeah.
You're not fully living in your body in this present moment. You're literally dragging the fears of your past with you and then dictating your future, which is infinite possibility. It hasn't happened yet. The future has not happened yet. And you're deciding, you are making the decision, but my past experiences will determine my future because that is the reasonable thing to do.
Yeah.
And I just want to add this, in philosophical times, reason, which is now the leading way of rationalizing and making decisions as our society today, medicine is built on reason, research is built on reason, most of our logic has been influenced through the idea of reason.
Yeah.
Back in the times, like the Roman times, reason was considered one of the lowest forms of philosophy, because what it was insinuating was my decision right now is a direct result of the accumulation of my experiences to date. And because your conscious mind is only ruling between 5 and 10% of your experience of reality, you are literally, to use reason as the way to make your decisions, you are dismissing 95% of your consciousness and your infinite possibility. It's not about being reasonable anymore. And this is why I love love so much. Love is so unreasonable. It doesn't care about the justifications that you have. Love is a powerhouse force. It is like, fuck the reason. I want to be crazy. I want to make an insane decision. I want to believe that I can change the world.
And we've all been there. We've all been in that state. So it's not, we've all been in that state. You know, we've all been in that state where it's just like, fuck it, I'm doing this for love. Whether it's our children, whether it's our passion, whether it's a man or it's a woman.
Given. This is what I'm choosing.
Yeah. And when we can get that into that state, and we're all collectively into that state for the betterment of our humanity, for the betterment of our community, for the betterment of our...
It can't fail!
Like,
the only reason you think it is going to fail is because you fear the resistance of others. So if we make this collective choice, it's inevitable that this will happen. It is inevitable that we will create the heaven on earth if enough of us are choosing, if all of us together can overcome the resistance and use the resistance to catapult us forward.
Absolutely.
This is what the space in Love Out Loud teaches. We teach you how to do this. We show you, we demonstrate, we invite you again and again and again relentlessly into an opportunity to overcome your own hesitations, to overcome your own fears.
And in that space, you become it. Like, you become it. You are
People's lives fucking change, let me just say. I think I've had hesitation about talking about it, but the amount of people that have walked out of retreat and quit their job instantly, who 6 months on their lives, there's no morsel of their life that was the same now as it was before retreat. It truly transforms lives. And it's not because of me, it's not because of Anthea, it's not because of any of the teachers, it's because of the vibration of love, becoming the embodiment of love. And the reason it's a deep experience is when you're put into that container of love and you're held there, everything that's not love comes to the surface, and you're given an opportunity, an immersive opportunity to transmute it.
And transmute it, most of us are so afraid to be seen in our icky, yucky, messy stuff, and we've all got it, and we're so afraid, and so we walk around with this armor and these masks on, hoping that parts of ourselves don't accidentally fall out. And so we're never us. We never get an opportunity to actually just be like, hey, this is me here. You're not essentially you're not alive. And what Love Out Loud gives people is an opportunity to come and be human. Because ultimately, the way the system, and it is a system, is set up is that we are required to be machines and think very cognitively, that the spiritual, transcendental, fluid aspect of our human experience is discounted because we all have to fit in these boxes. It's a very mechanical way of experiencing life. And then you'll see those people that are super successful, but there is no energy running through them because they function so well in the machine.
They've found code to just replicate again and again and again. Most people in development, this is what they're teaching you. They're teaching you this formula of how to make money, and it works. But is it really allowing you to have a full embodied, alive experience of life?
And this is what it is. Loving out loud is simply living. It's simply living. That's what it means to love out loud, is like feeling and embodying your every experience. One of the things the girls and I chatted about yesterday was the understanding, that love looks different for everyone, and people are going to have a certain idea of what love might be that might not actually be what love is. And I think when we come into the Love Out Loud space and people actually start to recognize, oh, what I thought was love is actually totally different, and this is what it is. This is what it feels like for me. That's the empowering aspect of it, is that no one is telling you who to be or how to be in Love Out Loud. You get to completely embrace who you are and be fully alive in that in every moment.
And people ask me all the time in my facilitation, like those that get to know me on a more personal level, and I share some of my personal perspectives and opinions, they're always asking, why don't you bring that in your facilitation? Like, why aren't you giving your opinions to people? Why aren't you intentionally provoking them through what you can see? Because, you know, maybe they find that insightful or humorous. And my response is always, the spaces we facilitate has nothing to do with my opinion.
Yeah.
The space we facilitate is a space of opinionlessness and safety, so that you can express exactly as you are and meet yourself.
Yeah.
Actually meet yourself.
Yeah, and it happens every time. I always find it so fascinating in circles. The dynamic is different every time, and I've always got this kind of like anticipatory energy, like what's going to unfold in this space, because the energy is held so tight, so sincerely by everybody there. It is ceremonial, like it really is so ceremonial, without actually
doing anything
other than the
I'm
deep
at
reverence.
I'm at the point now where I open circle and I'm like, yeah, this is a space where that anything is possible and you can share whatever you want to share.
Yeah.
That's it.
And just with that permission though, honey, it creates this deep reverence, this deep honouring that is way beyond, you know, the, I guess, props or whatever of creating ceremony or ritual, but is not grounded in any deep sense of energetic understanding and honouring. And this is what Love Out Loud is. As spiritual beings, we need ceremony, we need ritual, but that is energy, creating that energy, and Love Out Loud just completely encapsulates that. It does. It really does. So yeah,
So share this.
share it.
Tag. This has been a dynamic conversation.
Yeah,
Thank you
you.
for having this conversation with me.
Thank you.
Share this on your page. Join our community, Love Out Louders. I will tag it in the comments. And also comment.
And tag the leaders. Tag
Your
the people
leaders.
in your network.
Get them to have a conversation
Come
with
and
us.
get them to join our. Let's please. Let's
If
have
there's
this
someone that
conversation.
has a controversially different view, we
we
want to have
want
a chat
to
to
hear
them.
the counter narrative that's
We
going
want to have
out
that.
there.
We want to
Yeah.
have that talk. We want to be leaders in that.
Yeah,
If there are
absolutely.
webinars you want us to host around educating you through these times or sharing perspectives during these times, we are open to all of it. It is amazing to have the team in one location. We
Yeah,
are moving
so nice.
into our headquarters
Today we see it, and it's on the water. I'm
Love
excited.
you guys.
So good. Good
Exciting
times. Like,
times.
it's genuinely exciting times, and just know that we're coming from a deep space of love and respect for everyone's personal and individual experience, and it's so important to keep this energy alive. You know, it's easy for people to want to kind of follow the baseline energy because we want to be respectful, but actually it's more
not time for
respectful
that.
to be like, hey, genuinely, it's going to be okay, and you are so empowered in this moment, you have so much control in this moment. That's not dismissing the people suffering, it is honoring it and loving it and saying, we are here for you.
Kel, I would love that so much.
Oh.
So much. So I'm going to give you guys an email if you guys are watching. Email both myself, Nicole.Gibson @love- as in dash outloud.com and CC my beautiful assistant, Kate.Sawyer @love-outloud.com, and just put attention response from Facebook Live. Interview request, something like this, because we have a lot of correspondence that's happening right now, but these conversations, they're such a priority to me right now. So if there's communities like Indigenous elders, leaders that are, promoting
It's so
fear,
important. It's such an important conversation. Like, now is the time for us all to create a new way in which we're going to look at the world and the way we're going to experience the world. And these collective conversations that we're going to have is going to be the foundations on how that new world's going to be built.
support us in supporting
Please
you
do.
guys, and many hands are better than one pair. And if you resonate with my voice, with Anthea's voice, with anyone on the team, and you're like, I want that voice in this conversation, please put us forward, create the connection. This is what is going to create the movement and momentum. I am devotedly committed to leading this movement in every single way that I can. So I offer myself as a servant leader to you in this.
And I just want to speak on that, Nick, just very, very quickly. What really resonated with me with Love Out Loud is that Nicole sincerely lives and breathes to the tiniest detail her mission. She's everything that she professes to be, and like she is just so pure and so genuine and so sincere in everything she speaks to, and it's such an honor. And I just want people to know that, because it's easy to connect to people online. It's, you know, everybody wants something. We are human, and it's easy for people to have ideas and misconceptions. And I know I, for one, there are many people that I followed online that I really pedestaled quite a lot, only to realize that they weren't necessarily as authentic and genuine as they appeared to be, which was really like, oh no. And I realized I needed that experience to actually recognize what felt real and what was true. And Love Out Loud, as a community, as a family, as an organization, it is everything that we say it is, and it just continues to grow. And the reason why it continues to grow is that you guys believe in us and believe in Nick, and that's for the betterment of everybody.
Yes, and thank you. Thank
Like,
you.
it's so beautiful.
I don't take leadership lightly, and every time someone entrusts me in my leadership, or when I see community entrust my team in leadership, the depth of sincerity and gratitude that I have, and how much fuel it gives me personally to keep leading and to keep going, because I really experience in my leadership an infinite capacity, and I am more connected and more connected and more connected to that infinite capacity the more that people trust in what it is we're creating, the more that people respect what it is we're creating, and to have that two-way flow. And I think we have a tendency in the West, especially Australia, to villainize people in positions of power and authority. And I just want to speak to that, because yes, Love Out Loud's becoming a powerful movement. It will continue to become a powerful movement. And for me to lead it effectively, I need to become a powerful leader. But in no way does that make me unavailable to humanity. In no way does that make me give me a complex to think that I'm, you know, better than, or that the small details aren't important to me anymore. That's not what this is about ever. And I just want to speak to that, because I don't see many leaders speaking to that with sincerity and honesty. And I know everyone in our leadership team feels that same way. We might not be able to show up in every single moment the way that you want us to, in terms of our availability minute to minute, but the availability we have to you and delivering what we say we're going to deliver to the world is unquestionable. I haven't really ever seen leadership like it. So
Yeah.
that's our promise to you.
Yeah, and please share this with your network, with the leaders in your community. Have the conversation. Just have that conversation. Tag us in. You know, we're creating a new wave. This is our opportunity to co-create, to start a new co-regulation of love.
And
let's go.
Facebook will be the main means in which we're organising the community. So it'll be inside the Love Out Louders group, on my page, on Anthea's page, on our leaders' pages, and obviously the centre point being the Love Out Loud page. So yeah, just if you have people that you know want to follow this, please share those platforms. Instagram is another one, loveoutloud.movement. We love you. Thank you for spending this time with us this morning, and we'll chat to you soon.